Ciao everyone and welcome back to another episode of Learn Italian with Songs. Hoping that YouTube is actually recording. I hope so. I mean, you should hear me. So let's go. We are going towards the end of this adventure into Natura Morta by Folkstone. In fact, we are going to talk about the 12th track today out of 16. So almost there, chat, almost there. Specifically, today's track, the 12th, is titled Scarpe Rotte, broken shoes. Now, what does the image convey? Something consumed, something you walk into. It made me think also about a idiom that we use in Italian, but is, I guess, if I remember correctly, is used also in other languages, which is being in someone else's shoes. Because if I remember correctly, this is the English one. In Italian, usually we are more wide, we say mettersi nei panni degli altri, so wearing generally others people's clothes. So it made me think about life. So what are broken shoes? Broken shoes are shoes that got used a lot to walk, which could be a metaphor for living and going through adventure, experiences, and whatnot. So it's a little bit like saying, in my opinion, from my point of view, being at the end of your life, but a life that you lived, right? Because you walked throughout your life. You did many things and you got many experiences. Now, let's see why am I saying this by checking the lyrics. So, as usual, we start from the beginning, which is an intro. And we start right away with the title of the song, Scarpe Rotte, broken shoes. Ed un viso andato a male, and a ruined visage. Ricordano di chi sarò ancora. They remind me, or they remember, of who I will be again. Now, as you might have noticed, the intro is very short, and that's why I am matching it with the bridge. Because it's true that the bridge changes the rhythm, so technically it's another section of the song, but it completes the intro. And we'll see that this happens several times in the song. Un inverno andato a male, repeated once again, a ruined winter, una ferita che rimane ancora qui, a wound that still lingers here. So, we have several repetitions, and that's why I put them together, the intro and the bridge, because we have the repetition of andato a male and ancora, so again. Now, concerning andato a male, I have a little note, because generally andato a male is an expression, a collocation, if you will, normally used concerning food. Because when food is andato a male, del cibo andato a male is spoiled food, rotten food, expired food, okay? Something that you can't eat anymore. And in fact, andare a male literally translates as to go to bed, okay? Bad as bad, not where you sleep, but as the opposite of good. And again, it means spoiled, expired, which matches a bit the broken shoes. Everything here is at the end, okay? Either because it's rotto, so broken, which, fun fact, is a very common false friend with rotten, not that far concerning the meaning, but rotto is broken, while rotten is marcio. But generally speaking, we are seeing the description of something that is at the end of its existence, either because it's broken, so not anymore useful, not useful anymore, or it's ruined, it's spoiled, it's rotten. And not only the visage of our narrator, probably, because from how the lyrics are formulated, it seems that the narrator is speaking about themselves, but also a winter. Now, winter, usually in the metaphor of the season, is the elder age, because you have spring when you are young, you are growing, because of course it is associated with rebirth, new things and whatnot, so that part of your age, of your life, going from your birth to, let's say, being a young adult. Then the summer, which again, it's a little bit the prime of your years, so between being a young adult and an adult. Then we have the autumn, when you are a full-grown adult but towards elder age. And then we have old age, which is usually related to winter, often used also a metaphor of death or right before death. And then we have memories, we have a wound, which makes sense because chances are that at the end of your life, you might be in peace, but you can also be wounded if you never solved what happened in the past. But it could be also physiological, because sometimes it's something you cannot deal with. So if you go through main traumas, like heavy traumas, of course, you won't be able to get over it. It's something you'll have to deal with for the whole of your life. Then once again, we have the verse 1, which I'm going to also match with the bridge. Passi lenti, slow steps, e una voce troppo stanca, and a voice too tired. Non mi chiedi più perché. You no longer ask me why. Lunghe notti, long nights, e un sapore di speranza, and a taste of hope dentro l'inquietudine, inside the restlessness. And then we have the bridge. Il tuo sorriso che mi calma, your smile that calms me. Andiamo incontro all'alba, we'll still go. Andiamo ancora incontro all'alba, sorry. We still go towards the dawn. E siamo qui. And we are here. Now, in my opinion, here we see many images related to old age or the end of a journey. Slow steps, which are a manifestation, a symptom of tiredness. And in fact, this tiredness is explicitly mentioned, but related to the voice, not wanting to ask why anymore, which in my opinion is something specific of children. Asking why and being curious is a constant throughout all of our life if we are healthy, but mainly when we are children. And then we have long nights and a taste of hope despite having inside restlessness, or hope within restlessness. It depends on how you interpret the line. Which summarize a little bit, these two lines summarize a little bit the concept of the album, because let's remember that Natura Morta is proposing several stories or point of views where something is deeply wrong, and thus one would expect a taste of hopelessness, of giving up. but the whole point of the album is always giving a turning point towards the end or somewhere in the song, pointing at hope. So, doesn't matter how bad things are going, even in here where we are at the end of a journey, there is always a glint of hope. And in fact, then we have il tuo sorriso che mi calma. So, who is the smile? Like, who is smiling? Probably, since it was mentioned 2 lines before, hope. Also because hope is a consistent presence throughout the whole album. And it makes sense that hope calms down, and we go once again towards the dawn, so a new beginning, a new day. So, despite being at the end, we keep going. We are still here. And then we have the chorus. Sole, vesti la mia pelle arida. Sun, dress my parched skin. Dorme la resina in autunno. Sleeps the resin in autumn. Rughe che intagliano il mio volto e l'anima. Wrinkles that carve my face and soul. Valli dove scorre il tempo. Valleys where time flows. So again, many images that made me think about old age, from the parched skin, but still able to enjoy the sun. The reference to autumn, when the resin, which is a little bit the blood, it's more the lympha, the blood of, but generally the one of the inner fluids of the plants. So we are talking about sleep, we are talking about autumn, we are talking about raisins, all images pointing towards the end of the journey, to the winter, okay? And in fact, we have another sign of old age, wrinkles, carving my face and soul. So experiences, because once again, our narrator is at the end of their life, but a full life, a life that was lived. And also, intagliare, just like to carve, is usually related to art, because what do you carve? Cosa intagli? Usually the wood, at least in Italian, usually intagliare is often related to wood. Of course, you can apply it to other materials as well, but for example, for statues, so with stone-ish materials like marble and whatnot, you scolpisci, so from the verb scolpire, to sculpt, I guess. Yeah, it should be sculpting. While you carve, for example, the softer things, generally more related to nature, which is very present as well, just like hope, throughout the whole album. And it is very present in this song, for example. What else do you carve? Cos'altro si intaglia? For example, pumpkins. Okay, that's why I'm saying it is related to softer things than stone. And then valli dove scorre il tempo. So these wrinkles are valleys where time flows, because they are the signs of time itself. So again, something that at first sight might seem bad, because old age, mainly nowadays, is related to something bad. There are many people who have the Peter Pan syndrome and see old age as something terribly negative. But if you think about not even that much time ago, old age was seen and should still be seen, if properly reached, so living a full life, as something positive, because old age used to and should represent first and foremost wisdom, so something positive, not something to be shunned away. And then we have the second verse with its bridge. Nella bruma, in the mist, delicati quei risvegli, delicate those awakenings, colmi di disordine, fill with disorder. Noi custodi solitari, we solitary guardians, di una nostalgia perenne e lieve, of an everlasting and gentle nostalgia. So, we have bruma. Bruma is a word in Italian that is specifically used in poetry. It's unlikely you are going to find it in, of course, not colloquial discussions, but not even as a common term. Again, it is exactly like mist, because we have nebbia, fog, and bruma, mist, because the fog is denser than the mist. Bruma is a light fog, thus a mist. And it is something often related once again to autumn and winter. And then we have mentioned delicate awakenings filled with disorder. And then once again, we have a feeling related to old age, which is nostalgia, because of course the good old days are gone and you tend to be nostalgic. But in the end, at least in my opinion, this whole song hints at sweetness. So we have nostalgia, we have disorder, we have this end of the journey, but in the end it's something positive because the journey was filled of adventures and experiences. And then we have the chorus followed by an instrumental bridge, and then the repetition of the chorus exactly as it is, and then an outro, which is nothing else but the repetition of the first two lines of the chorus. The chorus is exactly like the first one, so sole vesti la mia pelle arida, dorme la resina in autunno, rughe che intagliano il mio volto e l'anima, valli dove scorre il tempo. And then once again, sole vesti la mia pelle arida, dorme la resina in autunno. Sun dress my parched skin, sleeps the resin in autumn, repeated also in the outro, wrinkles that carve my face and soul, valleys where time flows. So that was the lyrics of Scarpe Rotte, Broken Shoes. And as I said, probably this is even more clear. It's clearer with the having in mind the music accompanying these lyrics. While at first glance it might seem something negative what is explained in the lyrics, but in the end I would say it's something positive. Because yes, there are many hints at old age, at being at the end of the journey. We have nostalgia, we have wrinkles, we have apart skin, but in the end, all of these things are first of all positive because it means that despite the wounds, despite the wrinkles, despite the parched skin, our narrator lived their life. And remember, like, in order to be nostalgic, it means you had better days. Imagine being at the end of your journey and not being able to be nostalgic. It means that you have never had anything to be happy about before, so it would be kind of a problem. In the end, if you think about it, being nostalgic is pretty much physiological because it means that you lived a happy life. And And then we have also hope, many hints at nature, representing one of the positive parts of this album, one of the positive aspects of the album, theme, a subject, an element that empowers human beings, protects them, let them feel seen, accompanies them, and at the end of the journey, here nature is very present. And once again, there is still hope. And we still keep going. So, yes, we are towards the end. Our shoes are broken. The skin is parched. We are ready to sleep. We are full of wrinkles, which are valleys where time flows. We are at the end, but the journey didn't end yet. So, despite being at the end, it's not the end yet. And that's why where we can find the positive nuance that usually it's hidden between the lines of the tracks. Now, that said, let me know in the comments what you think about the 12th track of Natura Morta by Folkstone, Scarpe Rotte. See you next time with the 13th track of Natura Morta by Folkstone, Persia. That said, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you think about the album so far. Grazie everyone for watching and arrivederci.